for the past 25 years that have garnered multiple Emmy Awards and have been broadcast throughout the country and around the world. Focusing on educational and social issues, Mr. Schuler's documentaries and video projects have raised public awareness and impacted public policy nationally and internationally. His programs have ranged from global warming solutions to mental health stigma and included topics such as date and domestic violence, teen pregnancy prevention, AIDS, alcohol, gambling addiction, and opioid abuse. Most recently, his project Vaccination from the Misinformation Virus has broadcast throughout the country on PBS. Schuler has also trained journalists in creating social issue and social media outreach in Asia, the Middle East, Central America, and throughout the U.S. Welcome, and welcome to our filmmakers.
Thank you so much. Are our other directors here or no? Is it just Derek and I? All right.
Looks like it, yeah.
That we can do our show then. That's good. What an amazing, go ahead and sit down. I think the other directors were supposed to be here. Is Hannah here? Just checking. And what about Levi? No? Okay. That's all right. So, gosh, what an amazing afternoon. And strong and powerful. And we started in the Ukraine, and then we were in the Deep South, and then we were in China, for goodness sake, and there's linkages all the way through. First of all, Derek, tell me how you found your story.
Well, Yulia is somebody that works in production with me, and when the invasion started, she started posting a few things on Facebook, and that's where I learned also about her coffee business, and so I reached out and we had a conversation, and I said, I want to help you somehow. I said, I think your story is amazing. Let's shoot it. And so then she accepted, and that's where we started.
How when you started from the initial idea to now, for people who are not used to production, how long did that take? It seems like it was pretty quick, actually, but it...
Yeah, this actually was blazing fast. So we basically had 1 day shoot and about 2 days edit, and a little waiting for footage to come over from Ukraine. But the purpose was speed was important for this as well, because obviously the invasion was escalating, and I wanted to try and get this story out as quickly as possible. So,
before I want to explore that a little bit, but I'm sure everyone wants to know, how are things right now? What's going on right now with the people that we saw in your film?
Yulia's family and the operation continues. Coffee business is still running. They're still doing humanitarian aid. Yulia is in America. She has an Amazon list that she created. So people are donating. They have a donation of a warehouse, and they're just doing this one hand to the other. There's no middleman, and they're still getting things over into the Ukraine to deliver. Inside the Ukraine, where the coffee business is located, they're seeing lots of refugees flooding in now, whole families with young children coming in with the clothing on their back. And so this relief effort has been really substantial.
How is her brother doing?
He's very stoic, I have to say. He's an iconic character in this whole operation. Essentially, he is the one who is taking the supplies out further into Ukraine with a few people. So yeah, he seems to be doing pretty good.
So, and it just going back, this was the movie Sibs. It was the first one in this session that we saw, and Derek Johnson is the director of this. And you took this on, I gotta believe, so you're a professional. It's incredibly well done. It's beautifully written and illustrated and put together. You have other projects, I'm guessing. Why did this one hit home? I mean, obviously it's the urgency, and she works for you, but where has this led you?
Well, I tell you, one of my early successes in filmmaking was documenting the 9/11 events, and what I drew from that experience was I tend to work from the outside of a hot spot of a story, and I like to find something that is really truth and really, something that where you see people's hearts are swelling. I really gravitate towards that, and so this story did that for me.
What amazed me about it, the intimacy that pulled us into the moment for us to understand what's happening there. As you watch things on the news now, what happens?
Yeah, and that is exactly, goes back to my point of the 9/11 work. I intentionally did not give away my clips to the mass media. So with this piece, we sat down, we engaged, and the thing that you get out of this piece, for me, the most successful thing was that Yulia and I, we gained a trust with each other. I didn't know her that well personally during the time of the interview, but it didn't take long, and we just made that deep connection. And I think you really see that come out in the film, and this is something I strive for with all of my projects.
Where does this go? I mean, here it is at the Albuquerque event, but where else is this going to go? What do you want to see happen with this?
Well, my big dream, actually, we've submitted the project to the Sundance Documentary Film Grant, so we hope to get a bite there, and if that happens, we'll take a team over to Europe and spend some time in Ukraine and create a feature out of the project.
Wow. I think I mentioned to you or Jamie or somebody that I did the master class a couple days ago on documentary filmmaking. You should have done the master class, man. You're an incredible filmmaker. But I always start off saying, what's your goal? What's your goal with the film? Who is your target? And based on that goal, who is your target audience? And I'm a social change activist, so I want my films to actually create social change. Obviously, this can do that. What do you want to have happen? Who do you want to see this film? And what change do you want to occur?
Well, I'll tell you, right now, especially in America, but also in the world, you see a lot of separation of people. And what we see in the Ukraine and we see in this film is we see people of the same culture doing everything possible to help each other. We don't see them doing things to tear themselves apart. We see them working together. And you hear about this on the news a little bit, but to experience that firsthand and to see that, and that, for me, to take a little slice to help promote that, I want people to see this all over the country and to maybe get a sense to say, if we can help each other instead of kill each other, we can become a much better place.
Here. Applaud that. Film can be so powerful. And I honestly, I know everyone was moved. I was certainly moved. And her story, you built it so well. And the symbolism and the juxtaposition of images and all those wonderful things that you do along the way that nobody notices but feels in their hearts. How long did it take you, once you did that filming, to write and put this together? I know it was a quick film, but what was that process like?
Well, as far as like the editing goes, one of the notes that I've come to know is you always try and keep the emotion in. And I feel like the story around that is when people get emotional, it's really important, and we should really pay attention to that. So, yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, it was a fairly quick production. Kind of even surprised myself a little bit.
Did you start with did you start with a plan, or did you do the interview and then that gave you the plan?
I did have a little bit of a plan. You know, in documentary filmmaking, often you shoot a lot of things, and then you create your story later on. I had an idea for this story, obviously because I wasn't going to Ukraine. How do you tell that story without going there? So there were some logistical things like finding a Ukrainian. You know, that story came to me, and you know, so then the plan was like, I could tell that Yulia was really going through a lot in her mind and in her heart, and I thought, gosh, if we can get some of that, you know. And I just really am so proud of the piece, and I really hope to share it with as many people as possible.
That's great piece. For people who are producing, people who are directing, did you have a budget, or did you just do this? It looks like you just did this.
Well, my company just, in this case, it was just me.
Yep.
There were 3 people on this production. Well, 4, my wife, who is often over my shoulder in the editing room, and I had Yulia and her husband, who was monitoring the sound during the recordings. So, yeah, there was no budget. I just, you know, went up with my truck and my grip truck, and we threw some lights up, and we just said, okay, let's do it. You know, there's no time to wait. So.
Did you get the initial footage? The footage that you had from Ukraine was stunning. Where did that come from? How did you gather that?
Yeah, and so part of the planning for this production was like, okay, I'm not going to Ukraine. So what's the next best thing? And, you know, and nowadays, especially with documentary work, the closest you get to an event is through someone else's cell phone. And I thought, you know what, that's so good. And so I put a call out, Yulia put a call out to her community over there in the Ukraine, and they came back to me with hundreds of clips of all different kinds of things. And so, you know, that part was actually quite easy to get that footage.
Has this changed your view of the world? I know that's a big, weird question, but I got to tell you, every time I do a doc, something clicks in me and it changes something.
Well, I guess I don't know that it would say that it has completely changed, but one thing that it did do was it helped re-inspire me to know that the better of people in the world are here for good purposes. You know, there's, you know, obviously leading up to this production politically and all kinds of chaos going on around all of us, you know. I can't really escape it nowadays, but I found this story and I thought, God, and even her final word in the film is hope. There'll be a sign of hope. And for me, this story was a sign of hope. And I think that's why a lot of the world is on board with the Ukrainian mission. So.
Anything else you'd like to say? We have a minute left.
Well, I guess the main thing I'd like to say is just I'd like to say thank you for everyone who's watch the film, and you can go to sibsfilm.com and please share the film. It's also will be available online. And thank you to all the volunteers at the film festival, and of course the audience. And I know that Yulia and her family are all very appreciative of everyone who's heard their story and helped somehow.
Wonderful. Derek and his wife came down from Seattle to the film festival. We thank you. We welcome you to Albuquerque. We're hoping that you're going to be our next resident, so you can come down here and work out of Albuquerque. We got a great film community here, as I told you. And thank you for bringing your film to light. Just a beautiful, beautiful piece. And thank you all for watching all three films. Mr. Ashley lived here, a beautiful look at the Deep South and the history and racism and all kinds of emotions there. And then Canaries in a Cold War, Holy Moly, by Levi Broad. Just amazing pieces. But thank you very much, Derek, for coming and for bringing your wife and for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much.